Hi there. Hello. Welcome back to the Pitch Grid. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a pretty packed episode today. We will be previewing all the EFL and NFL action coming up this coming weekend, as well as also slightly reviewing the previous week, uh, midweek action in the EFL as well. So let's head pitch side first. Um, it was a pretty busy midweek action for EFL. It was a pretty heavy draw heavy midweek set of fixtures. Want to go quickly over some of those. Oxford and Derby 1-1 drew. Oxford just cannot be beaten, it seems, at home, and they thrive on the draw. Derby, they'll take 2 points, I'm assuming, off of this last week's action so far, but they definitely would have wanted more. Um, Preston Norwich drew 2-2. Preston took an early two-goal lead, but then Norwich came back pretty quickly. They dominated the rest of that game after the two goals. Sheffield Wednesday, Swansea drew 0-0. Stoke City, the Bristol City game was kind of weird. Stoke City took a two-goal lead, and then after a little bit, Bristol City scored two goals within 2 minutes to tie it up, and no one could just find a footing after that. Um, and then, of course, QPR Coventry tied 1-1. Also, kind of a relegation battle there. Um, on the Wednesday side of the action, Blackburn West Brom drew 0-0. Hull stole a point from Burnley over the course of that game. Hull had the lead for most of the game until late 77th minute goal from Zion Fleming tied it up for Burnley, and Burnley got something on the road, but still Hull got a pretty impressive draw off of the second place team in the league. Um, Other results: Cardiff did take all the points against Portsmouth. Cardiff are on a bit of a roll right now, admittedly against pretty poor opposition, but still they have started to distance themselves from the relegation zone. They're hoping to do that further this week, and we'll get into that game pretty quickly. Leeds United pulled out the 2-1 winner for Watford. Leeds took the two-goal lead, and they kind of let Watford creep back into it. Watford scored the goal, but never could find the second. Um, and then um, Millwall got a good result, jumping from 20th, I think, all the way up to 13th of the table. Um, it was a huge jump, and it was a good winner for Plymouth to get them out kind of from under the relegation zone type. It's not much. It's only a 3 or 4 point gap, actually, 4 point gap, but it's still a gap, and leaves Plymouth kind of reeling off of two straight defeats. Sunderland had a tough game against Luton, who gave Sunderland everything they could possibly handle. But Sunderland did pull out the 2-1 win. On another day, Luton probably could have pulled out a draw or even all 3 points. They had a goal disallowed, which didn't help their cause, obviously, but still a good result for Sunderland to keep them 3 points clear of the table, rest of the table at the top. And Middlesbrough got a 1-0 win over Sheffield United to put themselves right back in the top 10. Decent result, I think. Good defensive performance on both sides. Latte Loth scored for the first time in 10 appearances for Borough. And it was, yeah, very good result for Borough to get back after two straight losses. And now they're hoping to kind of build off of that. So now that we kind of quickly gone over um, the midweek action, let's head to previewing the weekend's action as we head out to Portsmouth, where they take on Sheffield Wednesday. Um, this is a game where Sheffield Wednesday kind of on a interesting kind of bit of form. They are coming off of a 0-0 draw with Swansea, like we just went over, and the 2-0 loss to Burnley over the last weekend. Um, so it's kind of an inconsistent form for Sheffield Wednesday. They come into this 3 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses. Portsmouth did get do have a win finally under their belt. They are 1 win, 5 draws, and 5 losses. It is at home. Um, the goal differential is not great. This is two teams near the bottom of the table. Portsmouth being dead bottom of the table at 8 points. Sheffield Wednesday being at 18th at 12. Um, Both teams want all 3 points. I just can't see much separating these two. Would not be shocked if this ended in a draw, but also wouldn't be shocked as well if somehow Sheffield Wednesday pulled out all 3 points. But if Portsmouth can somehow sneak out a win, that would be huge. They could climb out of the bottom half of the table. Um, Going on to the next game, Bristol City Leeds, as this could be a decent matchup. Bristol City have kind of found some form lately. A lot of draws, but they do have the win against Middlesbrough over last weekend to show for what has been otherwise a pretty big string of draws for them. They come into this 3 wins, 6 draws, 2 losses, and Leeds come into this with 6 wins, 4 draws, and a loss. They have Leeds have been scintillating as of late. Joel Perot has the 4 goals in 11 matches for Leeds. Naki Wells has the 3 goals in 8 matches for Bristol City. Um, this is a fixture that typically goes Leeds' way. Leeds have won the last 5, in usually pretty convincing fashion. Um, Leeds have the way healthier goal differential at 11 to -2. Yeah, this could be. I would definitely expect Leeds to win. This is a game they should win if they want to keep asserting themselves as promotion contenders, uh, especially in the autos. But Bristol City could absolutely steal a point somehow in this game. It is at Ashton Gate, so that could definitely be a huge part in this game. Bristol City are pretty good defensively at times. It's just and they're pretty good on the counter. So if Leeds do not aren't careful, they could easily get beaten on the counter. Bristol City might be able to score that way. But yeah, Leeds should win this one. They are very much in form compared to um, most of the championship. Let's move on to Coventry versus Luton, two teams that are on the opposite side of the table from the previous game. Coventry coming off the draw with QPR. Luton coming off the 2-1 loss to Sunderland. Um, feels like this is a must win for both teams. Luton need the win to stay above the relegation zone. Coventry just want any kind of points to get out of it. Coventry coming to this with 2 wins, 3 draws, 6 losses. Luton come into this game with 3 wins, 2 draws, and 6 losses. So both even on the losses department. Um, Haji Wright has the most goals for Coventry with 4 and 11. Carlton Morris has 3 and 8 for Luton. This is a match that kind of historically has gone draw heavy, but Luton has had the majority of the wins. Their last win was over Coventry was in March 8th of 2022 when they beat Coventry 1-0 at the CBS. This will be at the CBS again. Um, Luton, I kind of would edge it towards them just because they have had the better play and form as of late. Coventry just feel really lost and not really knowing what to do. They have lost 3 of their last 5. Um, has have Luton, but they've looked better in those losses for the most part than Coventry have. And Coventry have just they're looking for anyone to just step up and take leadership on that team, and no one so far has. Even though they've got all sorts of quality all over that pitch for their team, they just can't seem to find anything, and it's really sad. They also have one of the better managers in the championship. Mark Robbins is really good. He just can't seem to be able to do anything about this poor run of form, and neither can Rob Edwards for Luton. The more, I mean, whoever, if someone loses this, I could easily see that pressure growing even more on those managers, and who knows, we might even see someone get sacked in the pretty near future if this kind of form keeps up for either team. So very impactful type of match for both in terms of the table, bottom of the table particularly, and it could be a pretty good one, but I would edge Luton if I had to pick someone. Um, Blackburn, Watford, um, pretty interesting game here. Watford coming to this with 5 wins, 1 draw, and 5 losses, so pretty hot and cold team. Blackburn coming to this with 5 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses. They're still undefeated at home, but they have kind of dipped as of late compared to their hot start of the season. Watford, like I said, are pretty hot and cold. Ito Kayembe is the leading scorer for Watford with 4 in 10 matches, and Yuki Ohashi is got 4 goals in 11 for Blackburn. Blackburn and tend to have the majority of the results as of late. Well, it's kind of a mixed bag actually. Watford has had the last win, 2-1, back in December of last year over Blackburn. At Blackburn, this will be at Watford this time. Um, yeah, Blackburn, if they want to keep themselves in the playoff places, they will definitely want to win this one. I could easily see this being a draw, though. Both are pretty even teams. Blackburn came off a draw with West Brom. Watford coming off the loss to Leeds. Watford just haven't been as consistent since the win over Middlesbrough, and they're a pretty hot and cold team. They rarely tend to draw, but Blackburn also tend to draw pretty frequently. So it, you don't know exactly, and they're pretty even teams. So I definitely would not be shocked if this ends in a draw. But if I had to pick a winner, Blackburn probably would be have the slight edge, just because of how better they've played as of late. Burnley QPR, it's a pretty drastic contrast. Burnley in second at the top of the table. QPR, meanwhile, in the relegation zone. Burnley coming to this with 6 wins, 4 draws, and a loss. QPR with 1 win, 5 draws, 5 losses. So they tend to draw a lot. Burnley tend to just be gritty and dominate the defensive side on the defensive side of the ball, and then counter you with a goal, and pretty much that ends it. Josh Brownhill leads Burnley with 5 goals in 11 matches. Very good midfielder for them. Michael Frey has 3 goals in 10 matches. Burnley coming off the 1-1 draw with Hull. QPR, the 1-1 draw with Coventry. Um, yeah, whoever scores a goal first here, probably, I could probably see having the better possession. Burnley just have in my head, the better opportunities, the better chance to pull this off and try to keep pace with Sunderland. QPR just have not been great. They've only have, like I said, the 1 win. Burnley are just way too good to lose this. If they do lose this, is the championship. It wouldn't be shocking, but it kind of would. Let's be fair, but they should lose this one. If they do, it's the championship chaos coming to Burnley, and definitely would be some questions heading out of this one. Derby County versus Hull. Derby head home after 2 straight road games. They come into this with 4 wins, 2 draws, 5 losses. Hull coming to this with 3 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses. Derby County just came off the 1-1 draw with Oxford. Their goal scorer, Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, he has 3 goals in 11 matches. Liam Miller's the lead scorer for Hull with no, Curtis Nelson's the leading goal scorer for Derby with 2 goals in 11 matches. Christian Belessa is the leading scorer for Biedia is the leading scorer for Hull, 2 goals in 9 matches. This is a Derby County side that rarely lose at home. They are very tough to beat at home. Um, Hull just cannot seem to find a consistent form at all. And yeah, this seems to be a fixture that is dominated primarily by Derby County. Last game was Derby County being Hull 3-1 at home at Pride Park back in 2022 on February 8th. They're very even sides. They're very close to the table. I could easily see this being a draw. Pride Park is such a good place for Derby County to play at. I could easily see this being a draw because both have spurts where they can score, but also they are dry on the goal side, on this goal scoring. So I wouldn't be shocked if this ends in a 0-0 or 1-1 draw. But also I wouldn't be shocked also if Derby somehow grabs some points, or if Hull somehow just grabbed a magic goal at the end. Um, Plymouth versus Preston, both two teams that are kind of on opposite runs of form. Plymouth have really regressed lately. They come into this with 3 wins, 2 draws, 6 losses. Preston come into this with 3 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses. Preston have been on a good run of form. Emil Reese, he got 2 goals in 11 matches for Preston. Ibrahim Sissoko has 3 goals in 10 for Plymouth. I would not be shocked if Preston won this. They have been on a better run of form. They even drew with Norwich over the midweek. Um, and Plymouth are just out of sorts right now. They can't seem to find anything. But if there is hope for them, they are at home, which somehow they always tend to be really good at. They just tend to be good at their home games, and the road form is a toss up. So if there is hope for Plymouth, they are at home, and if they can use that to their advantage, they might be able to draw all 3 points. But I would not be shocked if Preston took all 3 points, or this was a draw. Very even game for the most part between two pretty even teams at the bottom of the table. Sheffield United Stoke. This is a game where Sheffield United are coming off 2 straight losses. Uh, Stoke have come off 3 straight draws. Um, Sheffield United are 6 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses. And Stoke are coming off of 3 wins, 3 draws, 5 losses. And this is a game between two teams at the opposite ends of the table again. Sheffield United, their leading scorer is Gustavo Almer, 4 goals in 11 matches. Tom Cannon, still the leading scorer for Stoke, based solely off the 4 goals he scored against um, Portsmouth a few weeks ago. 4 goals in 7 matches for him. Um, Sheffield United should win this game. It never you never know with Stoke because they are so inconsistent and they never seem to really be finding a good form when they need to. Very mid-table type team for the championship. Sheffield United need this win to kind of stay in the playoff places. Um, yeah, this just feels like a match that easily could go United's way. It is at Bramall Lane, so I would probably give the slight edge to Sheffield United, though I wouldn't be shocked also if this is the 4th straight draw for Stoke. Um, Sunderland, Oxford, top of the table team versus the 11th place team. Oxford just are steadily plodding on. More and more draws. They are 3 wins, 5 draws, 3 losses. Sunderland are very good at home. 8 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. They are undefeated. Sunderland are undefeated at home. It is at Stadium of Light. Um, Romain Mundle has 4 goals in 11 matches for Sunderland. Mark Harris has 4 goals in 11 matches for Oxford. So two goal scorers that are pretty good. Just Oxford just seems to struggle finding the goals, and if they do find a goal, it usually means a draw, unless it's a kind of lower quality opponent. Um, Sunderland are just way too good at home. I would not be shocked if this was a clean sheet for them. Um, if Oxford pull out this win, fair credit to them. They have been definitely a very gutsy side and hard to beat in the league this year. Um, no one seems to be able to come to Oxford and get more than a point off of them, which is really good. If they can keep this up, they definitely will be able to stay up. It's just a question of, you know, if they can turn some of the away results into points. And I don't think this is a game that they can do that, but if they do, fair play to them. Swansea Millwall, very mid-table type teams clashing here. Swansea has 3 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses. Same with Millwall. Liam Cullen leads the scoring for Swansea, 2 goals in 8 matches. Duncan Watmore has 5 goals for Millwall in 10. Um, he has definitely been one of the more informed strikers of the championship. Um, yeah, Millwall, I could see Millwall edging this, but I could also see this being a very ugly draw where nothing much happens and no one can find a chance. Um, these are two very typical mid-table teams for the championship, and it doesn't feel like there's much separating these two. Both have very similar goal differential. Both allow. I mean, Swansea has allowed a fewer amount of goals, but still, it just they don't have a ton of goals either that they can score. Millwall definitely has been the more free scoring team of the two, but I could see this being a draw. If I had to pick a winner, maybe Millwall, but I don't feel confident in saying that. And then we go to West Brom Cardiff. Cardiff are the informed team of the championship lately. They come into this with 3 wins, 2 draws, 6 losses. I believe they are coming off of yeah, 3 wins out of 4. I think beating Millwall, Plymouth, and Portsmouth. Those aren't exactly like most inspiring, but they did have a draw at Bristol City, which is very impressive considering they were bottom of the table not 2 weeks ago. So this is huge, and they're coming onto this game against a West Brom side that has gone 5 straight games without a win. West Brom have just been drawing a lot lately. They come into this with 5 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses. They have the 1 loss at the Hawthorns. They're very good at home. Josh Maja, he is their leading goal scorer with 7 goals in 11 matches. That goal scoring form has really dried up for him. Callum Robinson has been on a tear of late, 4 goals in 9 matches for Cardiff. Um, Surprisingly, the goals for have really are really kind of even now that Cardiff has started finding their goal scoring form. Admittedly, a lot of their form has come at home, so it'll be interesting to see them go on the road and against a team that is also very hard to beat defensively, but also cannot seem to find the net consistently either. Yeah, the goal differentials are very huge, massive difference. With West Brom having a very healthy 6 plus 6 goal differential to Cardiff's -7. Um, I wouldn't be shocked if Cardiff somehow have, with all the results they've had lately. Um, I wouldn't be shocked if they come in and pinch a point off of West Brom, considering how poor West Brom have been playing lately. But also, West Brom are very good. They have the potential and the quality to score goals, especially against a lower side like Cardiff. But I mean, with the form Cardiff are in, I would not be surprised if this ended in a draw. But I wouldn't also be shocked either if West Brom just pinched all 3 points. If Cardiff pitched all 3 points, then we have to start talking about can they actually do something with this form and make some noise in the championship. So very interesting match with interesting implications, possibly. Cardiff just really tried to escape the relegation zone. They are in 20th, 2 points above the relegation zone, where Coventry is at 9 points. So yeah, they definitely want to make a statement if they want to get out this relegation. So this could be the game to do it. To show, hey, we are actually kind of starting to find our way out of the little slump we started the season in. And then a game that is going to be really fun to watch: Norwich City versus Middlesbrough on is the last game of the weekend. It is at Norwich. Norwich are coming off the 2-2 draw at Preston, and Middlesbrough coming off the 1-0 win at home against Sheffield United. Norwich are 4 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses. Middlesbrough are 5 wins, 2 draws, 4 losses. Um, yeah, Norwich are really good at home. At Carrow Road, I don't think they've lost a single point. Well, no, they have. I think they have 1 draw at home to Leeds. And yeah, Boreas Signs for Norwich has been on a tear. He is now actually the leading scorer in the championship with 8 goals in 11 matches. Hayden Hackney's tied with Matt Clark and Emmanuel Latte-Loth for the lead scorer for Middlesbrough at 2 goals apiece in 11 matches. So Matt Clark has not played in as many now. He's only got played in 7. Um, I want to point out something that a lot of people are saying, oh, Norwich are probably going to win, or this could be a draw. I do want to point out that Middlesbrough have actually been one of the better defensive teams in the championship. Um, them and Sheffield United have allowed some of the fewer goals in the division, which is saying a lot compared to last year for Middlesbrough. Um, but you're facing a team that they might not have Angus Gunn or Marcelo Nunez, which could be huge for Middlesbrough. To be fair, they might be catching Norwich on a lucky bounce, but Norwich are still a very high quality team with Boreas Signs being a deadly striker, and you can never sleep on him scoring a couple of goals quickly. Um, but I could see this going either way. I could also see this being a draw as well. Um, this is just too close a game to call between two teams that are tied on points and right next to each other in the table. Norwich is at 7th with a slightly healthier goal differential of +6 to Middlesbrough's +2. Um, yeah, this Middlesbrough just trying to find a consistent form of goal scoring because that is their main issue. Unlike Norwich, who can score goals when they want to, Middlesbrough just have created chances. They just can't finish them. If they start finishing, they would be very deadly. Um, and maybe the Sheffield United game is that game to kind of springboard off of, especially with Latte Loth, who was their leading scorer last year and who was in very good form. Um, he got started up. I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to sit him again and see if he can come on late in the game and maybe steal all 3 points if the game is tight late. Um, but yeah, this could be a very fun game to close out the weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, that was the pitch side preview for the week. Let's head grid side and look at the week 8 action in the NFL. Quick news for the NFL. We did have a trade happen. A couple of trades happened where DeAndre Hopkins was traded from the Titans to the Kansas City Chiefs for a conditional fifth that could turn into a fourth, depending on if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl and Hopkins plays 60% of the snaps is the conditional part. Titans are going to eat half the salary, 2.5 million, I believe, is the estimated amount they will be eating up on terms of paying him. So it's only like a 2 million cap hit for the Chiefs. So very affordable, very low risk move for the Chiefs. They are trying to bolster the receiving room with Juju Smith-Schuster being hurt, and Rashee Rice, of course, being out for the year probably. Um, um, this is a very good addition, I think, for the Chiefs in terms of just maybe even just a clutch catch. They could need a very reliable receiver who can get open very reliably and has good hands and very good feet. And even though he is old, he's still pretty good and will definitely be a good veteran addition and presence in the locker room as well. So overall, pretty solid move for the Chiefs. The Titans also did trade Ernest Jones, their linebacker, to the Seahawks for another linebacker. Um, from this, it was, I believe, also a conditional fourth that they got as well for the Seahawks. And yeah, this could be a very if you look at it, it's a very even trade. Uh, yeah, they get um let's see, yeah, the trade is officially they get Jerome Baker and a 2025 fourth rounder, and the Seahawks get Ernest Jones, who the Titans traded for earlier at the beginning of the season from the Rams. So basically, Jones just goes back to his old division, but to a different team. So this could this what the difference is probably that Jones is a more run stopping linebacker compared to Brooks, who is more of a pass defending linebacker, which the Titans need as they are very porous on the pass coverage. Jerome Baker could be a very solid addition in that regard. Very similar linebackers, just one is better at the pass than stopping the run. So yeah, a very interesting trade there. Titans just trying to bolster their defense, I guess. In the fire sale that they are having, it seems like at least trading all these pieces, um, seeing as they are 1-5 on the year. All right, let's get into some of the games. Vikings Rams. Is the Thursday night game. Vikings coming this off of the loss to Detroit. Very close loss. Nothing to hang their head over. Rams coming into this with a lot of good news, actually, for them. Puka Nacua is expected to play today, as well as Cooper Kupp. So they are getting their top two receivers back. Um, Cooper Kupp is coming back amidst a lot of trade rumors. Chiefs were rumored to get him before they got Hopkins. Uh, Also, the Bucks, the Lions, I believe, are also in the mix. The Steelers are in the mix. So there's a lot of people, teams wanting his services. Ironically enough, the Vikings have been rumored to be wanting Matthew Stafford. I don't think that is something that will actually happen, but that is a rumor that's been going around lately. So yeah, the Rams are getting healthy on offense, which is good. They kind of needed it. Their offense has kind of been stagnant since Cooper Kupp and Nakua got hurt week one against Detroit. Um, but they're going up against a very good Vikings defense that can force turnovers, and are very good at rushing the passer. And we've seen that if you can put pressure on Matthew Stafford, he can turn the ball over. He comes to this with 1,392 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. Sam Darnold has a similar yardage, 1,370 yards, but with 12 touchdowns and only 5 picks. Um, Kyron Williams is the leading rusher for the Rams, 116 carries, 436 yards, 8 touchdowns. Aaron Jones came back last week and showed out for the Vikings. He has 85 carries, 443 yards, 2 touchdowns. And of course, with the Vikings, you can never forget Justin Jefferson as their leading receiver. 33 catches, 531 yards, 5 touchdowns. Tutu Atwell is the leading receiver since Kupp and Nakua have been hurt. 23 catches, 332 yards. It is in LA, so that's kind of huge. Um, it would be interesting to see if Joe Noteboom, who is also designated to return from the IR, is going to be back for the Rams as well. I have not seen anything about that. Just that Nakua and Cup are going to be back, which is honestly huge news for the Rams. I believe T.J. Hawkinson was also designated off of the PUP list for the Vikings, so he's going to come back soon. Dalton Reiser, I think, also was designated to return off of IR soon for the Vikings. So both teams kind of getting guys back from injury, which is good news as always. Um, it's just it's going to be a very interesting game. I do expect the Vikings to win. Um, they are, I think, the better team so far. But I would not be surprised as well if the addition of Nakua and Cup gives the Rams a huge boost on offense, and they look a lot better offensively. So it could be a very fun game. I wouldn't be shocked if this was a close game going into the fourth quarter. Um, then we head to Jets Patriots, kind of the bowl of the game. Bowl of the game. It's just two teams that are 1, 2, and 5, and kind of searching for answers in the Jets, and the Patriots, who are 1 and 6. Um, and Jets just coming off a really weird loss to the Steelers, where they did not play great. They showed some signs of being good, but overall, just kind of meh. They in their first game with Devontae Adams in at the helm of their receiving core. The Patriots are just lost coming off the loss to the Jags in London. Um, it feels weird, kind of, because usually, historically, it's been team if you play in London, you get a bye. Not this week, not the last couple of years. I think it has been. I think Al Lazard is expected to play in this game, so that's huge for the Jets. Um, it's kind of gonna be, I think, an ugly game. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets won this game. They do have on paper, the better team overall. Um, but Drake May has been playing very solid overall for the Patriots. He's not thrown a pick. I know he threw 2 picks against the Texans, but in his second start against the Jags, he was pretty solid, very efficient. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays against a even better Jets defense than the Jags off defense that he faced last week. Um, Obviously, he wasn't great against them either, but he was good enough to, somewhat do, enough to show that he has potential. Aaron Rodgers is the leading, is got 10 touchdowns, 7 picks. He hasn't played great, um, but I think the Jets could just do enough to pull out a close win over the. It'll be interesting also to see if the Patriots respond to the comments by Gerard Mayo of them being soft after the loss to Jacksonville. So this could be a very interesting turning point in both seasons. The Jets really need a win to stay in the playoff race. Patriots at this point are just looking for a good draft pick, but um, it'll definitely be something to help in the divisional aspect of the races in terms of where the season ends. A game that is kind of interesting to me: Eagles Bengals. Bengals come into this with 2 straight wins over the Giants and the Browns, both kind of ugly wins if we're being honest. Um, Eagles coming off of this also into this with 2 straight wins over the Browns, ironically, and the Giants. Just reverse order compared to the Bengals. Eagles are starting to get healthy. They are going to have they have had AJ Brown and Devontae Smith back the last 2 weeks, and they have looked pretty good on offense for the most part in the last game of the Giants. Saquon, of course, being the pinnacle of that offense, the running attack that gets the offense going for the Eagles. Joe Burrow still being Joe Burrow, numbers 1759 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 picks. Uh, Jalen Hurts with 1,308 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. Saquon has had a really good year, 658 yards on 108 carries for 5 touchdowns. Chase Brown, the second-year man out of Illinois, I believe, he has 66 carries, 327 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's kind of been a nice little spark plug for them occasionally. And of course, Jamar Chase having a great year, 39 receptions for 628 yards and 6 touchdowns. Meanwhile, A.J. Brown has only had 16 catches, 324 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That just shows you how good a player the dude is. Um, these are good offenses on paper. Both are really good. Defenses have been kind of iffy until the last couple of games for both. Um, both have, they where the Bengals defense has really stepped up after being abysmal the first few weeks. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out against the Eagles offense that is significantly better than they were the first 3 weeks. You definitely could say this is a needed win for both. Eagles want to stay in the division race with the Commanders. The Bengals just want to get back to 500 and cement their stake in the playoff race. Um, they both have had they both need it really. Trent Brown is out. I believe he's on IR. Yeah. So is Orlando Brown Jr. He's questionable for the Bengals. That would be huge. Geno Stone is also questionable for them. The Eagles don't seem to have any significant injuries. It looks like they'll be coming to this rather healthy. Um, so while I want to think the Bengals could do it, I think the Eagles will pull it out barely. I think they just have the better offense, slightly in the firepower to beat them. Where the Bengals have kind of just struggled offensively the last couple of weeks and have not been able to find much firepower against against what are good defenses. And the Eagles have a good defense, and I think they're just the better overall team compared to the Bengals. So I wouldn't be shocked if this was a Eagles win. I would expect that. Um, we go next to a game that is kind of meh. The Packers and the Jags. Jags got the win over the Patriots last week. Packers got a good win over the Texans last week on a last-second field goal by Brandon McManus. This is a game the Packers should win. They have been the much better team on both sides of the ball. Jordan Love is 15 touchdowns, 8 picks. To Trevor Lawrence's 9 touchdowns, 3 picks off of 1,527 yards. Jordan Love has 1,351 yards. Um, Tank Bigsby had a great game last week in the win. He has 4 touchdowns off of 415 yards on 67 carries. Josh Jacobs has had 120 carries, 540 yards, and a touchdown. Jaden Reed is the receiving leader for the Packers. 29 catches, 452 yards, 3 touchdowns. Always a deep threat for the Packers. Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie, he has had 30 catches, 513 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Also a very good deep threat. I don't see much that would help the Jaguars in this game. I think they have the comfortable underdog. The Packers should win this. It is at Lambeau. Um, and yeah, this feels like a very lopsided matchup that the Packers should easily win, especially with a very opportunistic defense that the Packers have. Xavier McKinney leads that pack, and boy, has he been a solid pickup for that defense and made them look really good. So I wouldn't expect much from this game. Same with the Titans Lions. Titans coming off the loss against the Bills, where they just absolutely collapsed. Um, Meanwhile, the Lions coming off the close win over um, Minnesota. This also should be a pretty lopsided game with Jared Goff putting up MVP numbers, 1,610 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. I believe Mason Rudolph will be the quarterback for the second straight week. Um, for the Titans, he was solid. He wasn't awful, but still, he wasn't great. He's going up against a Lions team though that just is so deadly to try to keep up against. Um, they are, the Lions have a lot of injuries, but so do the Titans, and they're kind of on a fire sale. They just traded DeAndre Hopkins and Ernest Jones. I don't expect this game to be close at all. Um, yeah, I do expect the Lions to win rather comfortably. Um, the Falcons Bucks. It kind of looked like a very exciting game a couple weeks ago. Both coming to 4-3. Bucks coming off of the loss to Baltimore, who just apparently came with body bags to the game, taking out Mike Evans, who did have an MRI the last couple of days and was found out that he will probably be out until after the Week 11 bye for the Bucks. So huge blow to that offense, and of course, Chris Godwin's going to be out for the year. He had surgery on his dislocated ankle, and that officially puts him out for the year. Um, yeah, that's just huge blows to the Bucks because that offense was looking so good. Baker has been very impressive this year. He leads the league in touchdown passes with 18. Him and Kirk both have the same amount of interceptions. Kirk has 1,830 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks. Baker has 1,859 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 picks. This was a barn burner on the Thursday night a few weeks ago. It just doesn't feel the same way now. It really doesn't. It's a divisional game, so absolutely anything can happen. Bucks will definitely want revenge. It is in Tampa actually, so that could help. But they just they've lost so many good pieces the Bucks have on offense. It'll be interesting to see how they respond. They do have a good running game still. They still have Rashad White, Bucky Irving, and Sean Tucker, a very deadly trio of running backs. I just don't think Baker, those 3 running backs, can carry it all. And besides Kate Otten, the Bucks don't have much. Besides, well, they do have Jaden McMillan, who's kind of come out for them, but I just don't see them having enough firepower in the passing game to do much. So the Falcons' defense is really good in general. So I wouldn't be shocked if this ended up in a Falcons win. Um, the Bucks are actually, yeah, the Falcons are favored, but if you look at some metrics, the Bucks are favored to win. I just don't see it. Um, yeah, I do think the Falcons will win this one in a very close game. Cardinals Dolphins is a game that's happening also this week. Um, Cardinals coming off the great win over the ugly win over the Chargers. It's a good win for them. Dolphins coming off of I believe it's a win. Um, yeah, no, they lost to the Colts last week. They lost to the Colts last week. The news that is in this game is that Tua will be back. For this game, he was cleared by medical professionals and decided to come back for this game. So that we'll have to see how huge of a boost that is to a Dolphins offense that's just been absolutely dead in the water since he got hurt with a concussion. Um, I think that was way back in week 2. Um, and now we're here, and the Dolphins' offense has just been putrid since. Um, Cardinals' offense has been better than I expected. James Conner has been the workhorse that they've needed. 109 carries, 504 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kyler has been pretty good overall. 1,331 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Tua is coming at us with 2 touchdowns and 3 picks. Yeah, Tyreek Hill has had a pretty underwhelming year for his standards. 24 catches, 294 yards, and a touchdown. And it's week 8. Um, I can see this being a very close game, actually. It might be a pretty good game. Um, it is in Miami, so that could be a factor as well. Um, but I wouldn't be shocked if this was a very close game to um, come down to the wire and maybe come down to a last second field goal. But it'll be interesting to see if Tua is back to full strength and back to the Tua we all know that can make this offense absolutely run and be a high-powered machine. I wouldn't expect them to do too much in this game in terms of play calling. Like, if they do unleash him, this might be a very interesting game, and if he plays well, especially. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Cardinals won this either. Just because they have the Cardinals did lose one of their better pass rushers to IR. That really hurts their defense, but they have a very scrappy defense. I wouldn't be shocked if they kind of limit Tua early and hound him and put pressure on him and pull out a scrappy win to get back to 500. But we'll just have to see. It should be, I think, a pretty entertaining game, or it might be a very ugly game. You never know. Ravens Browns is also a game that's happening. Ravens coming off the win for the Bucks. Browns coming off of the loss to the Bengals and losing Deshaun Watson to the Achilles tear. Yeah, this doesn't look pretty. Jameis Winston's going to be starting for the Browns. It looks like this week. Derrick Henry, of course, also is a menace for the Ravens. He's been one of the better running backs in the league. 873 yards, 8 touchdowns. Lamar putting up his MVP numbers with 1,810 yards, 15 touchdowns, only 2 picks. Um, yeah, Zay Flowers might be. We don't know the status for him yet, but he might be questionable for this game. So that might be something, but I just don't see the Browns winning this. Ravens should win this comfortably. They are right now the hot commodity in the NFL. Um, Marlon Humphrey, I think, escaped any serious injury as well from the Bucks game. He did go out hurt for that game, so that's good news for the defense. But I do expect the Browns to win this rather comfortably. Colts Texans. It's gonna be that should be an interesting game. Colts are a game back of the Texans for the division. It is in Houston. Houston has just lost to the Packers, and the Colts beat the Dolphins. Um, Colts just for them, they just can't find a way to score, honestly, consistently, and they need to. I think Jonathan Taylor might be back for this week, so that would be a huge boost for their offense. Texans are kind of injured on both sides of the ball. They signed Devin White from the who was a free agent after being released um, by the Eagles. So this could be huge. That could be huge for their linebacking core. DeForest Buckner is designated to return from IR. I don't know if he's going to play, but that would help the Colts defense immensely. Joe Mixon has been a great pickup for the Texans 77 carries, 401 yards, 4 touchdowns. C.J. Stroud was held to a career low in yards at 81 yards passing last week. He has 1,663 yards this year, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. Anthony Richardson has been kind of meh this year since coming back. He only has 783 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 6 picks. The Texans should win this game. It's a divisional game, though, and it's the AFC South. Things could get really crazy really fast. I just think the Texans are an overall better team, and they should win. If not, there would be some interesting questions. I think, yeah, the Colts would take first place in the division, so could be a very interesting turn of events in that divisional race. Saints Chargers. Chargers coming off the loss to the Cardinals. Saints. They are coming off of what was a really ugly loss to the Broncos on Thursday night last week. Um, yeah, this is an offense that is injured to hell and back. It's just been bad. Spencer Rattler gets his another career start. I believe this is the last before Derek Carr is expected to come back next week. Chargers should win this. Justin Herbert, he needs a receiver. I think that's very clear. He only has 1,164 yards, 6 touchdowns, and a pick. J.K. Dobbins has been the offense for the Chargers. 95 carries, 478 yards, 3 touchdowns. Uh, Will Dissly was the receiving leader for the Chargers in the Cardinals game. The Say what you will about the Saints offense, their defense has been pretty solid. Chargers have the leading scoring defense in the league. Um, News for the Saints, actually, they did sign Alvin Kamara to a 2-year extension of his contract, so he will now be a Saint for 3 more years. He had 1 more year left on his existing contract, so that's good for the Saints. They will keep their dominant running back, who has 111 carries for 438 yards and 6 touchdowns this year. So he's been solid for them. Yeah, this should be a Chargers win, but I wouldn't. Things can be crazy, man. Any given Sunday, if Spencer Rattler goes off and the Chargers lose this game, there will be some serious questions, and I would be shocked if the Chargers don't do something in the front office in terms of getting Justin Herbert some help on the offensive side of the ball, because that's where they need help. I think desperately. They just haven't been able to get receivers going. Um, Bills Seahawks to me is kind of the game of the week. That's saying a lot, but to me it just feels like two teams that are good. The Bills are coming off of a huge win over the Titans. Seahawks coming off of their win over the um, Falcons, 34-14, a very good win for them to get back to winning ways. Bills should win this game. Josh Allen still has not thrown a pick yet. He has 1,483 yards passing and 12 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Geno Smith has 1,985 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 6 picks. James Cook is healthy again, which is a good sign for the Bills. It is in Seattle, so that should be interesting. The Seahawks, they got, like we described earlier, Jerome Brooks from the Titans. No, Ernest Jones from the Titans, and they traded Baker to them. So yeah, this could be interesting to see if he helps at all stopping the run. Ernest Jones against the Bills, who are a very run first team with Allen and Cook. Um, Bills are favored in this game. They should win. They are the much better team on paper. Um, but you never know. I kind of like the Bills' chances at this game. Keon Coleman has been a good revelation. He's been solid, 16 catches, 326 yards, 2 picks. DK Metcalf, I believe, is expected to play, even though he went off against the Falcons with a hamstring injury. He has 35 catches, 566 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So very solid for them this year. Um, if the Seahawks can somehow get Josh Allen to turn the ball over, which has been mission impossible for everyone this year so far, Seahawks probably have a chance, and that or if they could cause any turnovers at all, that they have a chance to win. I just don't see it but this could I wouldn't be shocked either if this was a close game and the Bills just pulled it off barely. So yeah, this could be fun. At the same time, it also could get ugly. But I wouldn't be shocked if this was the game of the week. Uh, Bears Commanders is also a matchup. Jaden Daniels, I believe, has not practiced yet this week, so that does not bode well in terms of his playing status in this game. I believe Marcus Mariota would start against Caleb Williams and the Bears. This could be a fun game too, honestly. Both teams 4-2 and 5-2 respectively. Both wanting to really cement themselves in the playoff picture. Washington just wants to keep ahead of the Eagles, honestly, in the division race. They do lead the division still by half game. Um, yeah, this could be a fun game. Both the Bears defense is slightly better, in my opinion. Caleb Williams comes into this with 1,317 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 5 picks. He has gotten better as the weeks have gone on. Um, yeah, he's improved, and I would if he keeps improving, this Bears offense could be kind of fun. They have also stepped up the run game. DeAndre Swift has 91 carries, 325 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, this could be a fun game. It is in Washington. Uh, if Mariota can control the offense like he did last week against the Panthers, granted it's a much bigger task against this Bears defense that has quietly been pretty solid um, than against the Panthers. But yeah, this could be a fun game, and I wouldn't be shocked if this was the game of the week either. It is a 325 game actually, so that could be interesting to look at. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears pull this one off. Panthers Broncos. Quickly, just go over this one. Broncos came off the shellacking of the Saints. Panthers coming off a shellacking against the Commanders, where they just couldn't do anything right. Broncos should win this one easily. It is in Denver. Denver has a very good defense, one of the best defenses in the league. Bo Nix, kind of mid, 1,246 yards, 5 touchdowns, 5 picks. Um, yeah, just both teams not doing a ton to move the needle on offense, but the Broncos defense is just so good. I would not expect this to be close at all, and that the Broncos just kind of salt this away with a few field goals and a couple of touchdowns um, to beat the Panthers and put the Panthers at 1-7 and put them further in their misery. Another game, the last afternoon game of the week, Chiefs Raiders. Chiefs are coming to this, like we said, having acquired DeAndre Hopkins um, for the receiving room. Um, Kareem Hunt has been a revelation of the running game for them. He's done very well. Um, he has 63 carries, 249 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So good job for him. Patrick Mahomes has not been the Mahomes that we know consistently, but they find a way to do it because the defense has been good. 6-0. They come into this against a Raiders team that has struggled. They lost the Rams last week pretty badly. I believe Gardner Minshew was going to start for the Raiders this week. He has had 1,168 yards, 4 touchdowns, 8 picks. Um, Alexander Madison, I believe, yeah, he is their running back, who is 69 carries, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Brock Bowers, the rookie, he has 47 catches, 477 yards, and a touchdown. Um, I do think the Chiefs will win this. This should be a rather this is a rivalry game, no question. The Raiders want to build off of the win they had last Christmas against the Chiefs, which was the last loss for the Chiefs. Chiefs want to get revenge for that. Plus, there's been some comments already out by the Raiders saying they are not intimidated by Patrick Mahomes, and um, yeah, there's been some things said that kind of are starting to drink a bit. That um, yeah, but this is not a good Raiders team at all on either side of the ball. I do think the Chiefs can win this, even if it was an ugly game. Um, I do think the Chiefs have been getting better as the weeks go on in terms of offensive production, and I think the DeAndre Hopkins trade makes it an even better option. Andy Reid did say that Hopkins is going to be in the Juju and Rashee Rice role, So that I think that's a very good role that suits him very well in this offense. Um, yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. I do expect the Chiefs to win this, even if it is in Vegas. So it improved to 7-0, keep being the only unbeaten team in the league. Um, which is kind of it feels weird to say because usually the Chiefs have that what this could be also the game that they just have that one weird loss that they have every year. But Chiefs fans definitely don't want that against a Raiders team that is a rival for them in the division and could absolutely help widen the gap in terms of the division race and the AFC race, which the Chiefs have a 2 game lead on in terms of the number one seed in the AFC. Even though that's early, but still, it is a solid gap that they want to kind of keep building on. Obviously, Cowboys 49ers is the Sunday night game. Uh, Niners come into this with the most depleted receiver room in history. Um, at least that's how it feels, I'm sure, for a lot of Niners fans. Um, they lost Brandon Ayuk to an ACL MCL tear. Debo Samuel was in the hospital this week with pneumonia and fluid in his lungs. Um, and Jawan Jennings has been in and out of the receiving room as well with injuries. They just can't catch a break on offense. Brock Purdy didn't have his best game last week, threw 3 picks, no touchdowns. This is probably Brock Purdy's most mid-year to date in his career. 1,841 yards, 9 touchdowns, 7 picks. It doesn't help that also Christian McCaffrey is not back, and I don't think he's going to be back for a while. Cowboys are coming off of a bye, I believe. Um, yeah, they had the bye after the smackdown they got at home against the Lions. Dak has been kind of average as well. 1,602 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 picks. Um, honestly, this could be a game the Cowboys win. Niners obviously want to win this. The Niners have a good defense, so that could definitely help them. But they're going up against a Cowboys team that is desperate. Both teams are desperate, really. Let's be honest. Niners want to kind of stay in the division race with the Seahawks, and get back to 500 before you know they before their bye. I believe that's next week, and I think some are saying that McCaffrey might come back after that. Who knows? Um, just kind of get a fresh start, a fresh perspective after what's been a very rough start to the season for the Niners, and definitely not what a lot of people expected for what were considered the NFC favorites. I believe Debo is going to play this game, or at least he's practicing. I That would be an interesting one to keep an eye on. If the Cowboys do lose this game, I think Mike McCarthy is on the extreme hot seat. If he's not, then Jerry Jones needs to really reevaluate a lot of things. But yeah, the Cowboys also want this win just to stay in the playoffs race as well as the division race. They are only a game back of the Commanders and Eagles, so they're also, I mean, obviously hoping for chaos. But so this is an important game for both teams. Um, but yeah, I would expect the Niners maybe to pull this out late. It is at home in San Francisco, so yeah, this is a game where like I could see this being a defensive battle, and the Niners just pull out a late field goal to hold on and win this game, and kind of save them from going even further into the depths of 3-5 record, which would be really, really unsettling. Talk about a kind of a slight Super Bowl hangover for the Niners, but it's just not what we expected because this was a team, the Niners that we expected to be NFC favorites after playing the Chiefs very close and maybe should have won that game. Um, but yeah, I think also they're going to get back Dre Greenlaw soon as well for the defense, which would be a huge boost since he's such a pivotal part of what they do on defense. So that could be a huge boost for them. Um, but yeah, this could be a fun game actually for Sunday night. Honestly, um, probably one of the better matchups just in terms of implications and what could happen for both teams. And because the Cowboys are just they've kind of got they're kind of going through a midlife crisis I guess you could compare it to that because they just don't know who they are at this point, and they're just fighting for their lives and want to find that identity. So this could be a fun game. But also I could see it being very ugly too, with both dealing with a lot of injuries and both having rooms on both sides of the ball that are just depleted. So the Monday night game is kind of a weird game. Steelers Giants. It is in Pittsburgh. Steelers coming off the win over New York. The Jets, not the Giants, because of course Giants are also New York. But the Giants coming off the shellacking they got against the Eagles. I do think the Steelers should win this game. Not even close. Russ looked okay against the Jets. He got some lucky throws in. He you know he played well enough for the Steelers to win. That's all you really need from him because the Steelers defense is pretty good. The Giants have not been good on offense at all. And they just can't seem to find a footing there either. And Brian Daboll, he may be on the hot seat. The Giants are 2-5, 2-6. The season's probably over, honestly, for them, and that's kind of unfortunate for them, but also kind of expected. Steelers just trying to keep pace with the Ravens at the top of the division, and I do expect them to do that. This should not be a close game, and if it is, I would be shocked. Um, so yeah, that is the grid side preview for the upcoming Week 8 action in the NFL. Thank you so much for tuning into this preview episode. We appreciate you following us and tuning in. Please follow us and give us a like or a follow or subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple. We are on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, so give us a follow there and a like. We also would appreciate any reviews or comments. Any feedback is greatly appreciated. We really appreciate you sticking it out with us on this venture, and we hope to see you next time on the next episode.